We at the Delete Everything Theater would like to invite you to dine with us this evening. On this, the second part of the royal lineage of the United Kingdom. Hosted today by our king, Patrick Martins Wall. Continuing orders thusly: Grand Cross of the Order of the White Rose of Finland, Grand Cordon of the Supreme Order of the Chrysanthemum, Collar of the Supreme Order of the Chrysanthemum, Grand Cross of the Order of the Crown, Grand Cross of the Order of the Oak Crown, Knight of the Order of the Elephant, Member of the Most Glorious Order of Ojaswe Rajanya, Knight of the Royal Order of the Seraphim, Grand Cross of the National Order of the Southern Cross in Brazil, Grand Cross with Collar of the Royal Norwegian Order of St. Olav.
Oh my God.
Knight Grand Cross of the Order of Orange Nassau. Grand Cross of the National Order of the Legion of Honor. Member First Class of the King Abdul Aziz Order of Merit.
Is this one person again?
Yeah,
Who is this?
Still you. We're still doing a riff off of Prince Charles. Or King Charles.
This is all still King Charles?
Bro, I could do this for fucking... hold on. We could do recipient of King Berenda Coronation Medal. Recipient of the King William Alexander
God.
Inauguration Medal.
No, you gotta stop at some point.
Order of Australia, Order of the Bath, Order of Merit, Order of Canada, Queen Elizabeth II Silver Jubilee Medal, New Zealand 1990 Commemoration Medal,
Oh my God.
Honorary Life Member of the Marleybone Cricket Club, Royal Bencher of the Honourable Society of Gray's Inn,
My favorite one is the Cricket Club, I gotta say.
Honorary Member of the Foreign Press, Doctor of Music.
Doctor of Music. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Delete Everything Podcast, our noble castle on the hill where we once a week we dole out knowledge of things to the common rabble.
as a fine dusting of knowledge to the filth.
The things the common rabble have lost, things like forgotten, never known about, deleted histories. I am your king, Patrick Wall.
Hear ye, hear ye.
And with me, as always, my smarmy advisor that will ultimately betray me and have my heirs murdered in some twisted plot to serve some lesser man.
Count Riley Dexter Bowen. Always at your service, my lord.
Count Visca Riley Dexter Bowen.
I can do that one. Lord Admiral, Count Viscount.
I'm the vicar.
Royal Order of Merit, the Secondary Order of the Wet Thistle.
Oh my God! As always,
that one I made up, but it sounds good.
It sounds right. I thought I heard that one somewhere along.
There's
the
a
line.
Royal Order of the Thistle
Oh.
in there. I think that's a big one. I think that's the one that like shapes the world.
The wet thistle somewhere in like the marshland.
The Wet Thistle is like the sexy one.
As always, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate it even more if you're one of the people who has already gone onto Spotify and Apple Podcast and, all the other ones and rated us, left a comment. If you've gone on Apple Podcasts and left us a rating or a review or Audible or whatever other platform allows you to do that. You know what we call those people?
Our loyal subjects.
We call them heroes. We call them absolute fucking legends because without those reviews and ratings, we get nowhere. The momentum stops. We stagnate. And one day we look at each other and we're like, I got other shit to do this week. So
maybe we'll pick it up in a couple of weeks.
So if you haven't joined the ranks yet, please do those things I just mentioned and we'll welcome you into the fold of, should we do like a secret society?
Yeah, we can do the secret order of the... Oh, I can't say it.
No, it's a secret.
The secrets. Secret order of the secrets.
Well, you fucking dorks know how to get in, so...
Yeah, you can send us a message.
Ball's in your court. If you want to send us a message directly, doesn't matter the content, you can email us at deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we've got a Patreon that a lot of you guys are missing out on. Every week we do a bonus Patreon episode, and it's basically 45 minutes of absolute lunacy.
Filth and dick jokes.
We attempt to discuss a topic. we title the episode after that topic, but there's like a 20% chance that we actually stick to that topic. If you want examples of a couple times that we did stick to the topic for the most part, our 2 bonus episodes on our main feed, Hot Dog Rules and Lily Phillips, were both bonuses from our Patreon. So, and I think I want to do one next month.
You want to do another bonus Patreon?
Well, my birthday is at the end of April. And I think as a gift, as a gift to me, I'm going to give you guys a Patreon episode.
I declare a gift for me.
That'll be my birthday present, is to do a bonus episode for you guys.
I actually also I'm going on a trip. Gonna be in New England and Long Island.
Yeah. For a couple weeks.
So if you want tickets to the live shows, we're not doing those yet. But I'm gonna record some historical perspectives and a little bit of a video diary that we'll have on Patreon in a couple weeks. Yeah.
So if you want to join us there, that's patreon.com/DeleteEverythingPodcast. Also on Instagram, if you want to see photos accompanying the episodes, like maybe you listen to Night Witches and you are like, I wonder what those chicks look like. You can go to Delete Everything Podcast on Instagram and you will see actually a very cool post about all those badass ladies.
That's a good one.
And their janky planes. And with that, I think I'm ready to hear about some more British monarchy dying. How about you?
The dying part, yes. I hate them. Speaking as a filthy Brit myself, no, my lineage is of the UK, so it's constantly at war. I got a lot of like English, Irish, Welsh, Scottish in there, so it's just constantly at war with itself.
I mean, you take what you get, I guess. All right, well, firstly, it took me a second to like orient myself with where we left off, because part 1 of this episode dropped the first week of October of last year.
Been a while.
So, yeah.
Been a while.
First week of October of 24, basically 6 months ago, and it was a fucking doozy. Like, lots of brothers, killing dads, killing cousins, killing uncles.
I think that was also a difficult one to get through because it's like, into the storied myths of the past. It's like, this isn't like, here's a singular narrative that we can follow.
It was trying to follow the lineage, but the lineage was already broken a couple times by that point. Mm-hmm. Like now we get into where the lineages are pretty much
they're reformed, like Aragorn's sword. The sword that was broken shall be forged anew.
Yes. So yeah, like I said, lots of siblings killing each other and family members killing each other. Everyone died, and we made jokes in English accents.
Everyone died, and that was the end of England.
And we don't feel bad about it because we left off 550 years ago. So whatever, come at us. We did do like that was a 2-hour episode that we rushed through like a lot of it.
Did like 1,000 years.
And still only made it to the late 1400s. I think we did 600-ish years. 500 and some years. We started in the 1800s. We ended in the late 1400s. So yeah, we did about 500 years. 600 years.
Kind of as a rule, I've found it's difficult to gain any real sort of understanding and purchase on anything before like 1500.
Right.
Around the 1500s is when like I feel like human emotional intelligence is a little more like our current attitudes. Just like poetry and personal relationships and stuff. They all like sort of convene for a pretty base understanding that we can follow. Before that, it's just like fucking for the gods.
We left off at the end of, I think, in the 1480s. So we're still pre-New World. Like nobody knows that's there.
Except the population of millions that live there. But we don't worry about them because history doesn't.
No one on this island knows that it's there.
And when they find it, they won't care anyway.
Oh, they care. They don't care about the population you've just mentioned.
What's all this rubbish here?
Yeah, this is rabble on there's timber and things we need.
Fetch them the disease.
By the way, I remember thinking back when we did the first part that we were going to get like 0 downloads that week because we were still pretty new. That was like a month into us launching.
It was like our most successful episode for a while there, wasn't it?
And I like the whole time I'm doing the research on this, I literally wanted to like fucking commit seppuku. Like
it's a different kingdom.
And then it ended up doing really well download wise, like better than some of the other episodes that I had more fun doing the research for. Like I enjoyed doing that research much more. So with that being said, I expect zero downloads on this episode. I accept any downloads. I expect none.
I expect 100 downloads on the first hour.
So yeah, like I said, we did 6 centuries in the first episode, and we're going to slow it down a bit here because once we get into the current royal family and like some of the more recent royal families, the shit is, I want to get a little more deep into the actual individuals. And so I feel like some of these need to be their own episode. So when we left off, hopefully this jogs your memory because it was very informationally dense in Royals Part 1.
It's a bunch of boners with like addendums on their names.
Right.
You know,
so
Barry the peppercorn, or like Johnny the fire stick.
Jesus Christ. So if you remember, I'm going to try and jog your memory here. When we left off, the House of Lancaster and the House of York were vying for the throne. Henry VI, who was a Lancastrian.
The House of Lancaster, that's fucking those are the guys with it's the lions, right? They got the lion crest, and then
in Game of Thrones,
they're fighting the Targaryens.
That's Lannister.
Oh, okay.
Probably modeled a bit after that, but
you think maybe George R. R. Martin? I think I said this on the last Monarchs episode.
Probably.
You think maybe George R. R. Martin stole a couple of fucking ideas from history?
I don't know. That doesn't sound like him. He's such an upstanding guy. So yeah, the Lancastrians and the Yorkists were vying for the throne. Henry VI was a worthless ruler. He was the one who was like an 8-month-old baby when he inherited the throne. And he was also the only one to be the king of England and when his father died, and then the king of France when his grandfather died. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was simultaneous. He's the only king to ever be simultaneously ruled both countries. He was also the one who inherited a kingdom that included more of France than any previous ruler and basically lost it all by the time he died at 49. So this is all a catch up, like get everything sort of knocked out before we kick off part 2, right? Henry VI, who was the baby king, has his little mental breakdown. I think we called it a mentee B in our last episode so that the Gen Alpha listeners would know what we're talking about. Parliament appoints Richard, Duke of York, as Lord Protector.
The fuck is Gen Alpha?
That's the one that's now happening.
What?
That's your daughter's in Gen Alpha.
No.
Yeah.
No, she was a Zoomer.
Gen Z ended, like, my son's at the end of Gen Z.
What?
Yeah.
The fuck is any of this?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, whatever.
So I think that's accurate. Or maybe I don't know. Either way, doesn't matter. Yeah, my son's at the beginning of Gen Z. So your daughter might be the end of Gen Z.
I don't know. She fucking had to do the Zoom classes and shit. That's what the Zoomer thing is, right? Fucking, I don't know, whatever.
She might be the
world's
the
almost
ass
over.
end of.
World's almost over. I don't care.
Either way, the new one is Gen Alpha.
That's the next T-shirt right there. Delete everything. World's almost over.
You gotta write these down, otherwise I'll forget. So, if you remember, Henry VI is who we're talking about. He has his little mental breakdown. Parliament appoints Richard, Duke of York, as Lord Protector. Richard and Queen Margaret, Henry V's wife, start beefing. So that started the Wars of the Roses. Remember we talked about the Wars of the Roses?
Yeah, that's another thing George R. R. Martin stole.
Right, which was the Lancastrians and the Yorkists fighting for the throne. Richard of York, so obviously a fucking Yorkist, had a claim through the plan.
Fucking Yorkists.
Yeah. He had a claim.
Yorkist, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yorkist sounds like you're making fun of somebody for jacking off. Over there, Yorkin.
I thought Yorkists meant you were like a big fan of Tom York from Radiohead. Like you followed him through all his projects, like Radiohead, his solo stuff, The Smile. Like you're just like, I just think
Yorkin.
I'm a big Yorkist.
Yorkin is a funny way to say jacking off.
Yeah, it's like jerking, but
hey, what are you over there, Yorkin, you hog?
Oh my god!
I can't believe that George R. R. Martin was actually that bold to just steal Lancaster and be like, Lannisters.
Lannisters.
Yeah.
Walls of Roses, House of
Hold on a
Roses.
second. York and Stark?
Mm-hmm.
York and Stark, Lancaster and Lannister. Eat shit, George Martin.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
God
Shit.
damn it. All right, go ahead.
I mean, Lannisters were kind of beefing with almost everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Beefing also sounds like something fun.
That's when ladies York it.
Ladies are Yorking it. They call it beefing.
What are you doing there, girl? You beefing? So, Richard of York had a claim through the Plantagenet line. He was related to, he's like grandson of one of the Edmonds or some shit like that. And this is when Richard's son, Edward IV, took the throne, imprisoned Henry VI in the Tower of London. Then some earl defeated Edward's forces and put Henry back on the throne. Remember, Edward had like a long reign, but he had like 1 year or a couple of years in between where they put Henry back on the throne.
Right. Yeah.
And then Edward came back, kills Henry's only son, imprisons Henry again.
Like you do.
Allegedly starves him to death in the tower.
If you've been listening to the podcast, we advocate slaughtering your enemy's children.
Yeah. And then at that point, the Yorkists have won the throne for like 20 years, basically all the way through Edward IV, his son Edward V, and Edward V's brother, Richard III. Richard III, now we're picking up with part 2. Richard III, killed in battle by Henry Tudor, who claimed he was descended from the Lancastrian branch, and now we're in the House of Tudor. This whole episode is going to be House of Tudor.
Oh, so we'll just pause. We'll watch all 4 seasons of the
Tudors.
The Tudors, and then come back and be totally first.
The Tudors sounds like a like a puppet, like the little felt puppet, like a puppet show on Comedy Central. But it's Tooter.
Yeah, the Tudors.
Yeah.
That would actually be good if you did like an adult history of the Tudors. But you called it the Tutors.
And you just made it like a comedic
That would
puppet show?
That would be huge in England if you just had puppets that farted and it was like commonly known English history. I fucking guarantee.
Oh, I've gone and farted.
Like BBC 2 would run that shit for fucking 30 years.
Hey, have you watched the new episode of The Tutors?
I don't know what it is about England. They want to button down and be like, oh, that's very proper. But then if somebody farts on TV, they're like,
"'Tis the funniest show ever made."
Sorry, that reminds me of my grandfather, who was like a fairly like straightforward, like very manly man. And then one time at like a family gathering, the fucking was that Mel Brooks Star Wars parody, Spaceballs?
Yeah,
Spaceballs was on when they were comparing the Schwartz. And I have never seen someone laugh so fucking hard in my life.
Really?
And I was like, is Grandpa having a fucking stroke right now?
Is he okay, Mom?
All right.
So, all right. So Henry Tudor, who defeats Richard III, defeats Richard III in battle, reclaims the throne for the Lancastrians, right? He becomes Henry VII. Now, I fucked up at the end of Royals Part 1. I was wrong. You were right. I said Henry VII was the one that upended the religious status quo by breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church. And you said, I thought that was Henry VIII.
Yeah.
And you were right.
Yeah, I fucking know I was.
Even though we had that conversation, I felt like it didn't sound right.
Because of the song.
Yeah. I'm Henry VIII.
I am. I upended all the religious conventions in this time period. Yeah.
So I could fuck many, many, many women. So get them all pregnant and their babies died.
Cut off the heads when I'm annoyed.
Yeah, that's how the song goes. We have so many English listeners, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's right.
That's it. Yeah.
He did it perfect. So Henry VII ruled from 1485 to 1509, right? He was on the throne for 24 years. He died at 52. He was the last king of England to win the throne on the field of battle.
Ooh.
Like I said, when his forces defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field. England is so fucking silly, dude. I feel like it's such an epic battle name, like the Battle of Bosworth Field. But England's like so small and silly. I feel like this is just like a field next to like a guy's house.
So
Like, it's just a small clearing next to his like.
fucking probably was, honestly. Like, there's so many weird little fields in that country.
Yeah, it's like, whose house is this we're battling next to?
Don Bosworth.
Some peasant named Bosworth lives there. Yes, we shall call it the Battle of Bosworth Field. And that's all.
So hold on. Are you telling me?
In 200 years, there will be a pub here.
You're telling me that the last king to win England's throne in combat, was like, so he was like a strong young combat man, and then became a fat opulent fuck. Did he then get bored?
No, this is Richard this is Henry the Seventh.
Okay, all right, cool.
Right. He was the
like,
last
did he
one.
then become an opulent fuck? They got gored by a boar.
Oh, you were going Robert Baratheon.
Yeah.
No, Robert Baratheon, I think, is based more on Henry VIII.
Seems like it.
Yeah, I think he's more of the fucking around, drinking a bunch, going a little nutso at the end. Like we're going to talk about Henry VIII at length because there's so much.
What was his length? Think he had a good like 7? As he got fatter, a little 6.5.
He got real fat at the
He
end.
got real fat.
He got real fat at the end.
It's kind of started.
It started shrinking. It was a little acorn by the end. Here's my acorn.
No, it's still 7 if you can push it back. Just push all that.
Push all the fatty tissue
Push
back.
the meat.
The pelvic fatty tissue. So, like I said, last one to win the throne by defeating Richard at Bosworth Field. He did also have to defend his title a couple years later. Like, so he defeats Richard, takes the crown, is coronated. Some other Yorkists tried to come at his shit like 2 years later, and they had to go back to battle. This time, the Battle of Stokesfield. So if you're at Bosworth's house and you cross the street, take a right around that corner and go down 2 houses. That's Stokes' house. There's a field right next to his house.
All right.
Stop looking at your computer.
Excuse me.
You never hear anything.
Henry VIII's cod piece was 2 pounds 9 ounces.
Jesus Christ.
It's gigantic, and it's always been the star attraction of his suit of armor at the Tower of London.
He couldn't have possibly had a cod piece made to make his dick look big.
I mean, that's exactly what it was, but still.
God damn it. So, by all accounts, Henry VII was a pretty good king. We're talking about Henry VII.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eyes up here, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Eyes up here. I'm not just a piece of ass with a big cod piece.
Looking for cod pieces over here.
I'm looking for cod pieces over here.
2.5 pounds.
Jesus Christ. So, like I said, by all accounts, Henry VII, pretty good king. That last battle ended the War of the Roses. And he united the Yorkists and the Lancastrians, or attempted to at least, by marrying Elizabeth of York, who was, incidentally, his third cousin. I feel like that's probably about the best you can hope
third
for
cousin is good. That's fine.
when you're part of the monarchy. That's
Honestly,
like,
it's even legal in contemporary times.
Cool. England's economy thrived during the years of his reign. He died of tuberculosis in 1509. He was a sweet, tender guy. He was
Third cousin, would you do it?
no, absolutely not. I have a very big extended family, and I know so many third cousins. And I'm like, hell no. And some of them are very attractive girls, and I'm like, hell no. I know this little bitch since she was a kid. I know how fucking conniving she is.
I don't know any third cousins.
Really?
I don't think. What would that be? It would be like a cousin's cousin, a cousin's kid, right?
The cousin's kid is like your first cousin once removed,
Is
or
that
some
who
shit
once
like
removed?
that. Yeah.
The fuck is? How do you do the second
I
cousin?
don't remember. It's stupid and complicated.
I don't care.
So, like I said, England thrived. Henry VII was sort of like a very severe guy in court, but apparently he was very lovely to his wife. Even when he died, she was like very, very distraught. And like most accounts are that they actually still had like, you know, a loving marriage all the way to the end. So Henry VII's heir is Henry VIII, obviously. Henry VIII was a pretty radical dude, politically, not like cowabunga radical.
The first Ninja Turtle to sit on the throne of England.
I mean, maybe both. We don't know. I'm imagining Henry like doing a fucking like in his tight stockings and his poofy shorts and like
Massive codpiece.
his cape and fancy hat doing a kickflip down like an 8 stair. Everyone's like, "Oh shit, dude!" So that's a t-shirt idea.
Henry VIII doing
Henry
a kickflip.
VIII in all the fucking fancy garb doing a fucking kickflip down a fucking stairwell.
That's not bad. I like that.
So it says radical dude. So politically, he was a pretty radical guy. As most people know, Henry VIII was responsible for the Protestant Reformation, which, let's be honest, only happened because, Henry was a randy old chap. He wanted to fuck a lot.
Yeah, this is one of the most talked about things in all of religious history.
Yeah.
Like
We're about to dig into the randiness.
He fractured the Roman Catholic Church because he wanted to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's a powerful cock, man. Requires a 2.5 pound codpiece.
Yeah. Doesn't probably require that. He probably had it made to, I don't know.
Accentuate his gigantic cock.
Inflate his assets.
I mean, like, listen. At the very least, he had.
Why do you think he had a giant cock? Why are you? Where is this coming from?
I mean, because he had a big codpiece. Big shoes. Big
you
feet.
can go. A codpiece doesn't necessarily mold to your
dick. At the very least, especially considering the way he fractured the Roman Catholic Church, he had great big old balls.
He was fracturing some pelvises too. I'm just saying, like, you can get a codpiece that's as big as you want. And your dick's just swimming around in there. It doesn't need to be like molded to it.
Where do you get your codpieces?
Jimmy's Codpieces on the corner of 7th and 88th. You tell him delete everything sent you. If you tell him Riley and Patrick sent you, you get 20% off.
Come on down to Jimmy's Codpieces. We got little cods, we got big cods, we got all the cods plenty of cods in the sea. Come on down on State Road 314 across from the Walmart.
Is your cod fried? Let us rehydrate it. Come to Jimmy's Codpieces. Jimmy, you get that one for free, bud.
Oh, fuck.
So, specifically, it appears that he really liked to fuck the women who tended to his wives. I almost said wife. They're ladies in waiting, right? Evidently, Henry thought they were waiting for that dick. Yes, same joke, same time. I love it. So, after Henry VII dies, Henry VIII pretty much immediately marries Catherine of Aragon, right?
Son of Arathon.
I'm sorry, Aragon. Catherine of Aragon.
Son of Arathon.
stating that was his father's dying wish.
My dad always wanted me to fuck this bitch.
Well, there's a lot of backstory to this, right? Henry had an older brother. Henry's older brother, Arthur, died when Henry was 10. Arthur, who was 15 at the time when he died, was married to 18-year-old Catherine of Aragon for 5 months. And then he shit the bed, right? And there was a bunch of nonsense with like her being...
That's just like Joffrey and Tommen. We can do this all fucking day. This is obviously what these parallels are.
It's either going to be Lord of the Rings or fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So...
Pip.
Cheerio. So there was a bunch of nonsense with her being betrothed to Henry VIII after that. A bunch of royals in England and in Rome wanted it, but then she's of Roman. She's part of the Holy Roman Empire. So Henry turned it down at 14. So the earliest that I guess that's like a coming of age. So he's betrothed to her at 10. When he turns 14, he's like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Right. As soon as he's able to actually voice that in the court, he says, I don't want to marry her, yada, yada, yada. So then when he becomes king at 17, apparently he says, fuck it, marries her anyway. This is what my dad wanted, right? So pretty much immediately they're married. Like as soon as Henry VII dies and Henry VIII is coronated, like almost immediately he's married to his brother's widow, right? They conceive a child who is stillborn. The baby comes out stillborn January of 1510. Mm-hmm. Year after that, they have a baby boy. He dies 7 weeks after being born.
Damn.
Catherine has 2 more stillborn sons in 1513 and 1515. In 1516, Catherine gives birth to Mary, their only child who actually makes it, as Catherine ends up having another stillborn daughter in 1518.
Jesus Christ.
So out of 6, she's had 1 survive, right? A female.
Right.
Henry starts during that time what would end up being a 3-year affair with Elizabeth Blount, one of the Queen's entourage, right? In 1519, Blount gave birth to a baby boy named Henry Fitzroy. This is Henry VIII's child and the only illegitimate child, the only bastard that he ever claimed as his own.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after Fitzroy was born...
Hold on. So you're telling me... You're telling me that in the frozen north they call bastards snow, right? Then in the Erie, there's stone, right? But then in
right?
England, it's Fitzroy.
I don't know where Fitzroy came from, but
I mean, that's just like the most British bullshit name they can throw
Henry
on
Fitzroy.
Everyone's like, ooh, that's a bastard.
So, like I said, only illegitimate child that he ever claimed as his own, and there were arguably a couple more. Shortly after Fitzroy is born, that affair with Elizabeth Blount ended, probably because Henry had started an affair with Mary Boleyn. Want to guess what she did for work?
Mary Boleyn?
Mm-hmm.
What did she do for work? Let me see.
She was one of...
Was she a bowler?
She was one of Queen Catherine's ladies in waiting.
Waiting for this dick. I would have figured she was a bowler because it'd be like Mary Boleyn.
Waiting. Yeah. So, as far as anyone can tell, Catherine never had an issue with Henry's philandering shit, right? Which, depending on which...
Just like, please don't put another dead baby in me. Fuck.
Depending on which historian you want to ask, varied infrequently, right? Or varied in frequency. So, like, I read a couple of, like, little historian notes. What I kind of laughed about was that one historian that I read, who was a male, said that basically it was pretty uncommon. He, pretty limited probably. And then I read a female historian who thinks it was like too innumerable to count. So like the guy's
I thought you were gonna say
probably every once in a while.
It was
he's
like
he's fucking everybody.
I thought you were gonna say it was like 2 at the same time, all the time, every night.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, she's like, "It's too many." Which we don't know, but it was a lot.
Well, it's like the fucking, if you look at monarchy all across the world, like fucking Peter in Russia, he was like literally would fuck anyone he wanted to in the castle, men and women.
Oh god.
Heyo. Yeah, he had no problem. He'd just be like, "Hey, I like your wife and your daughter. I'm taking them.
Whatever.
Hey, you too. Come on.
Yeah, you come too."
And but then they'd just all be like, "Well, he's the fucking king, I guess."
You're a pretty good looking guy. You come too. So
he's Russia. He's okay.
He's cold. He's cold outside.
Drink vodka is fine.
Cold outside. I need to fuck many people to keep warm. So back to Mary Boleyn. She had 2 children. Henry Carey and Catherine Carey, named after the fucking king and queen. Come on, Henry and Catherine. Yeah. now you're just brown nosing, dude. So they were arguably his children. If they were, he never legitimized them like he did with Fitzroy, right? So sorry, Mary Boleyn, I guess.
It would have been interesting to be like, no, this is my son named after me. This is my illegitimate daughter named after my wife. It's like having a new daughter
and a new wife. So
just be like, honey, listen, I know you see all your kids die, so I had one. It's like a junior for you.
So now he's had an affair with Elizabeth Blount with a bastard child. He's had an affair with Mary Boleyn with 2 maybe bastard children. And by the way, if you're thinking like Mary Boleyn, that doesn't sound right, and like the name Anne is knocking about in your skull, there is an Anne Boleyn.
Oh yeah,
it's Mary's sister.
Oh hey,
you want to guess where she works?
Hold on. She a lady in waiting?
Hey-o!
Lady waiting to get pregnant.
She is. She is Mary's sister and also one of Catherine's ladies in waiting. And Henry, at this point, done with Mary. He's like, "Hey, girl, what up with your sister?"
It's like, that'll do. Get away from me.
Yeah, so this is all going on around 1525. So Henry and Catherine have been married for 15 years at this point. Catherine is 40, and Henry's not like super optimistic about his chances of getting a legitimate male heir to the throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking 4 stillborns, 1 dead in infancy, and 1 made it, but it's a girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, classically this would be like a witch's curse.
Yeah. Well, so he's got a few options here, right? Option 1, he can legitimize Henry Fitzroy to the throne. He's legitimized him in terms of being like, yeah, it's my kid.
Uh-huh.
But in terms of like succession, that's a whole separate thing, right?
Right.
So
as far as I understand, when you're the king of England, you can do whatever the fuck you want at any time. Yeah.
So he can legitimize Henry Fitzroy as his heir to the throne, but couple things. 1, that requires the Pope to sign off on it.
Ooh.
It also creates a lot of potential challenges from other people with any type of, even distant claim to the throne. Remember, we've still got descendants of the Yorkists out there, and Henry VIII's
just
dad,
over there Yorking.
Henry VIII's dad just ended a civil war like not that long before Henry was born. So Henry VIII doesn't know what monarchy changes, like he doesn't know what's going to happen moving forward. He doesn't know that there's going to be peaceful, monarchy changes from here on out. He, is fucking anything can happen. So he's thinking in terms of the past, which is bloody wars for a new king.
Bloody wars.
Bloody wars. If I put this little bastard on the throne,
yeah, bloody Yorkists out
a
there.
fucking Yorkist is going to come.
Wobbly jubbly, isn't it?
So option 2.
I got a wobbly jubbly in there. I feel good about that.
You did. Option 2 is that he marries his daughter Mary off like as soon as possible and hopes that she produces a male grandchild like fucking immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not entirely sure that she'll conceive in time for Henry to get like
because of the witch's curse, obviously.
Well, no, she's still young. She, like when is she going to be of childbearing age? How long will it take her to produce a male? How long does that give me to train this child in the ways of the court?
Does she have her mother's horrifying gnarled womb?
We'll get into that later.
Obviously cursed.
So he is not super like, this is a good option either, right?
Mm.
I mean, like we're also, dude, people like doesn't know how long he's going to live, right? It's the 1500s. People die of the 1500s all the time.
People die of the air.
Yeah. So then, of course, his third option.
What did he die of? What do you mean?
The 1500s.
He just died. He was young. He was like, yeah, it happens. People just die.
29 years old.
Bad luck of the dice. I don't know.
He died of 1500s. So his third option, of course, was that he could appeal to the Pope to dump Catherine and remarry someone who's going to pump out some baby boys.
Mm.
So, interestingly, Henry VIII was a devout Catholic at least early on in his reign, right? He had literal publications defending Catholicism, and he was given the title Fide Defensor, Defender of the Faith by Pope Leo X. Mm-hmm. But Henry is at this point dead set that he's got to get rid of Catherine. Mm-hmm. Their inability to produce an heir is, in his mind, based on the fact that their marriage, was blighted by God, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And basically, there's a lot of primo trim out there just ready to fucking take my seed and pop out some beautiful baby boys.
You know my...
I did the hand wag the whole time.
Yeah, you did the whole gabagool hand wag.
Some beautiful baby boys out there just waiting to be born from my dick.
My theory /
my dick's gonna make their dick.
My theory / philosophy about...
Their dick's gonna make more baby boy dicks. Go ahead, your theory.
My theory / philosophy about like power and religion is that like one will always battle the other, and it just depends on which one wins out.
Right.
So like if you can get more power for the thing you want by dumping your religion, then you will. Like it fucking never fails either.
Yeah, it's always about convenience.
Yeah, whichever one works the best in your interest is
right.
the one that you fucking pick. You can either be like, I'm going to be more of a king than I was, and the Pope can eat dicks, or you be like, I want to be the fucking Pope. You know, it's like they always go in that same trajectory,
right?
Which is how I think that religion is nonsense.
It's one of many.
Even if it's not
that
nonsense,
a little silly.
I don't think people are suited for it. But that's just my 2 cents.
Organized.
Everyone's fickle, and no one believes anything.
Not when the cards are on the table.
Now when the fucking chips are down, man, you're fucking you believe more in the sandwich than you do in the cook.
So we are pre-Reformation at this point, right? Henry knows that a divorce is not going to be okay with the church. So he wants to use this issue with not having an heir and probably not getting one as a reason for an annulment from the Roman Catholic Church, right? I'm not going to get a divorce. Church doesn't allow that. So
I'm just gonna kick her into the ocean.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. And obviously with this whole like blighted by, I'll tell you where the blighted by God thing comes from in one sec. So yeah, he's looking for an annulment from the Roman Catholic Church, and he's got the Archbishop of Canterbury, a fellow named Thomas Cranmer, running game for him, right? Cranmer is saying that the marriage should be annulled because the act of Henry marrying his brother's widow in the first place went against Leviticus 20:21, which I looked up, and it says, if a man takes his brother's wife, it is severe defilement, and he has disgraced his brother. They shall be childless.
Ooh.
So in a very religious time.
Interesting, isn't that the story of like, who was it, Seth or some shit? The fucking took his brother's wife.
Everybody was marrying them
after his brother died, and then
that shit went on in America into the 1800s.
Instead of impregnating her, he yorked it onto the ground.
Oh yeah,
and there was a whole thing. Like, it's like a sin.
Spilling your seed on the ground is as bad as like putting it in, I don't know, God's butt or something.
Something you're not supposed to york it on the ground. I know that
you can't do that. You're not supposed to york it at all.
What the fuck was that, Seth? Fucking.
But I mean, you look at post Civil War America, right? How many fucking soldiers had brothers die in the Civil War, and they're like, well, I have to marry his wife now.
In the Bible, Onan spilled his seed on the ground to avoid having a child with his deceased brother's widow, Tamar. Onan's actions were considered wicked by God, and God killed him.
What a loving God.
Hey, you just pick and choose. You pick and choose whatever the fuck. One side of the book says this, one side of the book says this. Jesus is in there. Like, what do you want from me?
Well, anyway,
fun fact information: the poet and humorist Dorothy Parker. You familiar with Dorothy Parker?
Mm-hmm, yes.
She had a parrot that she named Onan.
Oh, really?
Because he spilleth his seed on the ground.
Stupid.
It's one of my favorite jokes of history.
That is good. So anyway, yeah, like I said, like brothers marrying their dead brothers' wives, literally less than 200 years ago was still a thing.
Pretty gross to me.
150 years ago, post-Civil War.
Maybe I just don't like my dead brother's wife.
That's okay. I think it was more of like a duty thing.
Yeah, she's like a duty.
I knew you were going to make a duty joke. So anyway,
Drew, cut that.
So, like I said, Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, is saying this should be annulled because we've done something that flies in the face of Leviticus 20:21, and he's got another guy kind of out there running game for him. One Martin Luther.
Oh, hey.
Who at the time, by the way, opposes an annulment. He's like, annulment's not okay. But
famously chill dude.
But he points out that the Bible does allow for polygamy. Not divorce.
They're all about it. Onan.
Not divorce, but Henry can totally marry a second woman if he feels so inclined. So, as we know, the Pope denies Henry the annulment, perhaps because he is just so pious and staunch in his religious convictions. Also, perhaps because Catherine's nephew is the fucking Holy Roman Emperor.
Ooh.
Also Archduke of Austria. Also King of Spain. Also Duke of Burgundy in the Netherlands.
High member of the Royal Order of the Thistle.
Yeah, he's also the Duke of Burgundy in the Netherlands, where he is heir to the head of the House of Habsburg.
Damn.
Of Habsburg jaw fame. You familiar with the Habsburg jaw?
No.
It is a affliction that descended through the Habsburg family because of inbreeding with like brothers and sisters and first cousins. And so they have a real pronounced bottom jaw and a real small top jaw. So that like the area behind, like between their nose and their upper lip is kind of receded.
Oh, yes.
And their bottom jaw's like, meh.
Anyone who's ever seen that picture of the real fucked up looking royal guy, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
There's a picture of
That's a
King
bad
Charles as a child, not as a child, as a probably 20s, and he's got some fucking Habsburg jaw going on.
Charles II?
Current King Charles.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I was looking up some Habsburg jaw photos, and there was one of like real young Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, I
and real
see
young,
it.
You see it?
Dang.
Yeah. Habsburg jaw like a motherfucker.
Way to go, creep.
So wasn't her husband like a cousin?
Oh, well,
Queen Elizabeth?
They're all cousins.
Yeah, you're right. So,
in fact, if they're not cousins, they ain't fucking them.
that's why it was such a crazy thing when Charles married Diana. She's a commoner.
She's not even related.
She's not. So yeah, Catherine of Aragon's nephew is the fucking Holy Roman Emperor who just recently sacked fucking Rome.
Oh, yeah?
He's got a ton of clout, and chances are that's probably why the Pope was like, no, you can't dump this chick. I don't piss off her fucking nephew.
Kinda what's protecting us from the whole,
Yeah. So ultimately, Henry VIII is kind of fucked, right? He did, by the way, back to Martin Luther's point, he did make an offer to Anne Boleyn to be his, and this is a French word I'm going to pronounce flawlessly, maîtresse en titre, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really become an official term for a little while longer. It was a French thing primarily. It was basically a term for the King of France's official royal mistress. Yeah. So
It's just side bitch.
yeah, well, but I mean, this title, this honor came with like an official title and estates and like a fucking allowance from the crown.
Now that's the route they should be taking,
Right?
Like, instead of sneaking around.
Well, Anne Boleyn said no. She was like, I mean, my guess is that she knows that. I mean, obviously, she knows that Henry is fucking around on his wife.
Right.
Used to fuck around with his sister. Maybe, probably has 2 kids with her. Used to fuck around with Elizabeth Blunt. Definitely has a child with her. And like every single one of these women were kicked to the curb. And like an official, unofficial title and estates can be taken away as quickly as they were given, especially when we're talking about Henry VIII, right?
Right.
Like we haven't talked about this really yet, but he has a habit of using politically motivated executions to get rid of people he doesn't really like.
Yeah, real fickle dickbag.
2 days after his coronation, he was 17 years old. 2 days after his coronation, he was having advisors of his father that he didn't like arrested and eventually executed under the pretense that they were being crooked with royal taxation. By the way, a practice that continued while he was king. So he just didn't like these dudes.
Yeah, sounds like he's a big
And he was like,
codpiece.
they're treasonous. They're skimming from the royal taxes. Behead them. But keep doing the thing with the taxes because I like the extra money.
that.
Thank you.
I want mine.
Yeah. So
Keep skimming for me, but kill them.
So that takes us from 1527 to 1530, right? This is the whole time that he's trying to like scheme this. I got to get Catherine out of here. I got to get Anne Boleyn in because she's young and she's going to give me some babies and, let's do it.
I thought you were going to say head.
Also, maybe probably. So 1527 to 1530 is the years that's going about, right? This is him trying to get this annulment, right? So by 1531, the following year, Catherine has been booted from the court. Anne Boleyn takes up residence in Catherine's digs in the castle, and Henry is making plans to denounce the Catholic Church. There are a bunch of
dramatic time in the castle.
Yeah. There are a bunch of staff changes with the Archduke of Canterbury, and the Pope is completely in the dark about all this, right? This is when they make Thomas Cranmer the Archduke of Canterbury. The previous Archduke died. He would have been loyal to whatever the Pope. He would have basically told the Pope what was going on.
Your standard Archduke.
Yeah, that Archduke dies. He appoints Thomas Cranmer, and the Pope's like, okay, having no idea what's going on because Thomas Cranmer is his homie.
Right.
So Thomas Cranmer convenes a special court to rule whether Henry and Catherine's marriage was valid to begin with. Calls a special court. Everyone come in, please. Right? Surprise, surprise, they deem it invalid.
I love the always prescient political usage of just like, no, I think that was bullshit when it happened.
Yeah.
It's you never have to be like, okay, listen, we have to reasonably find some purpose for dissolving this.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, didn't happen.
No,
was
it's inconvenient
bad.
now. It was invalid. We just now realized.
God hates it.
Just realized that God spoke to me in a dream and said,
no to that. He's a bit late.
nay,
It's quite a journey from heaven.
nay, he shall be fruitful with another.
Verily said unto thee thus.
So, like I said, 1532, Henry and Anne have this secret wedding. Immediately afterward, Thomas Cranmer convenes this special court to go, that whole marriage to Catherine.
Couldn't be.
Yeah, that was invalid, actually. And then a few days later, Archduke Cranmer declares Henry and Anne's marriage to be valid as fuck and also totally fucking radical.
This marriage is valider and piss.
Kickflip down an 8-stair radical. So Catherine is stripped of her title as queen, and she is now a princess dowager.
Dowager.
Yeah. Is that a
Yeah.
That's a word that you heard before now?
Dowager is it's a essentially a receiver of like a widow's income.
Mm.
Yeah, so like if you
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so she's receiving a dowry.
A dowry for being the widow. Yeah, so
she's like, oh, your husband's dead.
It's the title. Yeah, it's the title. She's widow of a prince, Prince Arthur.
Oh yeah,
Henry's older brother, right?
Yes, okay.
The marriage was invalid.
Yeah, so she's getting the dowager.
You are the widow of a prince. You are now a dowager, right? In September of that same year, Anne has a baby girl, Elizabeth. Do you think Henry was like, hey, I used to fuck a chick named Elizabeth. Yeah, I should call my son. I should call Fitzroy. I haven't talked to him in a while.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So all during these years, Henry and his religious minions like...
Do you think that she gave the baby the name Elizabeth as like a fuck you?
No, I think it was named after like her grandmother, like...
Well, because there were only 4 names in England at the time. It was like Mary, Elizabeth, Anne, and...
Dude, just you wait. Just you wait, because it gets... Just wait. So, all during these years, literally, I'm about to pop the top on that shit right now. Henry and his little minions, right? Like guys like Thomas Cranmer, and a bunch of other Thomases.
Oh, yeah.
There are literally 3 more Thomases in Henry's inner circle working on Reformation, right? Thomas Cromwell, who we're going to hear a lot about,
Yep.
Thomas Audley, and Thomas Howard. They're all working on how to switch an entire country from Catholicism to Protestantism because under this new Anglican church rule, appeals to the Vatican are going bye-bye. You know, any royal appeals to the Vatican going, no, it's not fair. The Pope must decide.
Yeah, now like the Pope
gone.
can suck our balls.
Right. Henry will be the new Pope of the Church of England.
Is it officially a pope, or is it just like a...
No, he's just the head. He's the official authority of the Church of England.
Which is
right?
funny. I feel like that'd be God.
Well, at this point, it's the Protestant English Church or something like that. It's not officially called the Church of England yet. That'll come soon. By 1534, the deed is done, right? Henry is excommunicated, though not officially yet, but the laws establishing the Church of England... We're going to call it the Church of England just for simplicity's sake, right? So establishing the Anglican Church as the religious authority in England are passed. Henry's in charge. Everything's fucking aces, right? Aside from the fact that...
it's a fucking dumpster fire?
Henry and Anne don't really get along for shit in a married capacity.
Nuts.
Apparently, everything that made Anne fun and cool to bang on the sly... She was smart and she was lively and a little hot-headed and
Willing
you
to
know,
bang on the slide.
a little wild with like a bit of violent temper thing going on there. Those things didn't translate great when she was expected to be, you know, quiet, mild-mannered, submissive queen.
Right,
you know,
right,
she didn't fall into that role well. So by the end of 1535, like, dude, what, they got married in like 1532.
Dang, got 3 years.
So yeah, in 3 years, Henry was already talking to the Thomases about how to get rid of Anne without having to go back to Catherine.
Listen, all these bitches are awful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So all this like
the Thomases come up with a bold plan.
so like 2.5 years into their marriage,
Right.
he's already like, I want to be done with this fucking broad, but like, am I gonna have to go back to Catherine if I get rid of her? What do we do? What do we do, guys? So
How do you get rid of a person?
also around the same time, he starts having another affair with either Margaret or Mary Shelton.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. Both of them. Who cares?
Hey, guess what they did for work?
I'm gonna say that they were ladies in waiting to the queen.
Also her cousins.
Oh, fun. Yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
They were Anne Boleyn's cousins / ladies in waiting,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Mary, who was the one
God,
probably...
this guy must have been very charming.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
for a long time, it was suspected that it was Margaret because she went by Madge. But there's some argument on that because what historians found was that in the Old English writing, it would be M-A, or she went by Marge. It would be M-A-R-G.
Ah.
And the G was misread. It was actually it was a Y that was misread. So people thought it was Marge when it turned out to be Mary. Mary, by the way, probably about 15 years old at this time.
Dang.
So they start banging on the sly. That shit fizzled out pretty quickly. But Henry's back in the saddle, baby. Or Mary's in the saddle.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So through this whole conversion to Anglicanism, there's a lot of pushback. Lots of people are suddenly charged with treason and beheaded. We're not going to go too much into that other than just to touch on the fact that Henry was very much like, I'm the boss of everything.
I do like how we're going to talk more about the fucking that Henry VIII did and not the, I don't know,
Almost
the
exclusively.
Catholic schism.
Almost exclusively. This is more fun, and you know it is.
I don't know.
This is more fun, and you fucking know it is.
Yeah, I'm better. It's better. His codpiece was huge.
We're going to touch on some things at the end, but right now we're going to talk about, because they're intertwined anyway, because the schism is because, what about, you said something about codpiece?
He said they're intertwined anyway. Like, get it?
Oh.
Because he fucking.
Yeah. What up with your sister, girl?
Hey, you got cousins? They got that ass.
Hey, wife, what up with your two cousins, girl? So, but the schism is completely interlinked with the marriages,
Yeah, of course.
right?
But you know, like, it's just like when you choose which avenue to go down when you're talking about this historically, and you pick your preference, it seems like like on one
when you
hand,
choose which
on one hand you've got the schism,
one is going to go down
and then
first,
over here you've chosen the jism.
and who's going to go down second.
The schism versus the jism is the real debate here.
The schism versus the jism.
Yeah.
The jism causes the schism.
Yeah. And then you're just over here yorking it.
And when you figure out which avenues to go down, sometimes you both go down the avenues at the same time. And that's fun. So, in opposite directions.
Anglican, more like Banglican, you know what I'm saying?
Ew. So stupid.
Oh, fuck.
So, like I said, during this conversion,
Neither of us will ever see heaven.
that was never a chance before this fucking podcast started. With this whole conversion to Anglicanism, like I said, all these people suddenly treasonous behavior, and that's punishable by death, guy. And like I said, I'm just establishing, because this becomes very pertinent, that Henry is very much like, I'm the boss, the whole thing. the country, the religion. I'm in charge. If you disagree, things aren't going to end well for you. So there's something called the Oath of Supremacy, right?
Yeah.
This is a law in the land. Basically stated that if you were taking a position in public office or the church, you had to swear an oath acknowledging the king as the supreme governor of the church and swear allegiance to him. Failure to do so was an act of treason, punishable by death. Again, just adding this to establish the fact that Henry is positioning himself to be the arbiter of everything ever.
Yeah. He's
in his lifetime, at least.
King of the Peony and Virginie.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
So, back to Annie. We are in early 1536. Anne is pregnant again, and she is fully aware of the fact. So they've been married 4 years. Fully aware of the fact that if she doesn't produce a baby boy, Henry is going to be very unhappy. Between her pregnancy where she had Elizabeth and now she's had at least one miscarriage, possibly two. Although there's some debate that one of them may have been a false pregnancy to begin with.
Is there any thoughts on whether or not it was just Henry's bunk ass rotten sperm?
We will touch on that too.
It seems to me like he's shooting yogurt.
And it's already curdled.
Yeah. Bloop.
Curdled yogurt. Fucking spurting cottage cheese. Oh, God. Oh, my God. We're children.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, fuck. We have never matured into adults.
I am a very adult person. Very adult-oriented.
Sure you are. You'll tell them.
What?
You'll convince them all. So, yeah, she's had at least one miscarriage, possibly two. Around this time, news comes down the pike that Catherine of Aragon has died.
Son of Arathon.
Catherine's dead, right? There's a weird, 3-week period between her death and her funeral. I'm not sure if that was like a lying in state thing.
Is Henry partying?
I mean, maybe. I mean, somewhat. There's I just don't know. 3 weeks seems like a long time, right? In a pre-refrigeration era. I don't know if that's just the normal amount of time between when you died and when you went in the ground.
I mean, it's not now.
Or if she's part of the court.
Even
it's like
now with modern stuff.
Even now lying in state. Queen Elizabeth died, 2 years ago? Not even. She lied in state for like
a day.
A couple of days.
Yeah. And thousands of people visited her. That's what it was.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's 3 weeks between her death and her funeral. During that time, right, Henry participates in a jousting tournament.
That's what they're calling it these days.
Where he was thrown off of his horse and gravely injured.
Hold on a second. Robert Baratheon?
like super touchy on whether or not he was going to live type of injured, right? So these facts we know for sure. We also know that Anne Boleyn, when she got the news about Henry's accident, on the same day as Catherine's funeral, right? She got the news, this happened on Catherine's funeral day. This is subject to some debate at this point. The news of this sent Anne into such a fucking shock that she miscarried the son that she was carrying.
Dang.
So she has another miscarriage. It's definitely a boy. It's far enough along that they can tell. And so...
Sounds to me like she was like, oh no, the king's been injured. I'm in such shock. And then walked into the other room and just fucking started hitting herself in the stomach with a Bible.
Threw herself down some of those stone steps.
Yeah.
I must descend the reliquary. And just threw herself down.
Jesus.
I'm so sad about my husband. I hope this doesn't affect my baby. I'm late for the funeral. So, Anne knows at this point that she's effectively fucked, right? Mm-hmm. Not in the good way. Remember that whole fiery temper of hers and her unwillingness to be a well-mannered lady of the court. Henry isn't the only one who's put off by this. There are plenty of people in the court who don't particularly care for her, including literal members of her family. Yeah. So we are talking about the British monarchy here, so that could be everybody on the court. It's related to her in some way. 3 months after this miscarriage funeral debacle, there was another miscarriage of justice.
Wow.
Thank you. I wrote that one into my notes.
That is very good, Patrick. You did a good job.
Thanks. Anne and 5 men,
Oh, yeah?
one of them her brother,
Ooh, getting spicy.
were arrested.
Oh.
Oh, almost there. Almost there. Swerved off the last minute. The men are all accused of having sexual relationships with the queen, and they were convicted of treasonous adultery. Anne and her brother, little incest charge slapped on there as well.
Dang.
Which is like laughable considering we're talking about monarchy bloodlines.
Yeah, the siblings were kind of off the table, weren't they? It was like, yes, cousins is cool.
Bro, dude, you know what? Every fucking family tree in this episode is shaped like a
The
reef.
cousins are cool, and in an emergency, you can fuck your mom, but like no siblings.
My family tree is a Christmas wreath. It's fine. Don't worry.
So was this trumped up nonsense charges, or were they all banging?
Henry's in charge of everything, man. Ask him.
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's like, right after her fucking miscarriage, she's like, you know what? All these people gotta fucking go.
Yep. So they were all convicted and executed a little more than 2 weeks later. By the way, 2 days before the execution, Archbishop Cranmer went ahead and annulled that marriage.
Oh, it wasn't a real marriage.
No, she was having relations with her son.
Red hair, the devil.
It has invalidated the marriage. She fucked her brother. Official documents from the husband, king, pope have decreed it such.
Tainted the royal wedding bed with the jism of a brother.
He says it. It must be true. So enter Jane Seymour, whose name always makes me think of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
Because Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman's name is Jane Seymour.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I know. I always think about it immediately. Before Anne Boleyn was even executed, Jane was already moved into her former quarters. After Anne Boleyn,
you imagine, like, all right, push this bitch downstairs, whatever, get her to the execution block, and hey, here's your new room. We just gotta change the sheets.
Yeah, Anne Boleyn, her brother, these other 3 guys all get arrested. They're sitting in the Tower of London awaiting trial, and Henry's like, "Yo, medicine woman, get your ass in here." What up with your ladies in waiting?
Hey, did you bring ladies in waiting?
So, yeah, she's already in the former quarters, which she was probably pretty familiar with, giving her line of work. Riley, what do you think she did for work?
I think we've already discussed she was a frontier doctor.
She was a goddamn lady in waiting!
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
So, the day after her...
Do you know what this is?
What?
This is the first just like really well recorded fetish. Henry's just like, I really like ladies in waiting. It's the waiting for me that really like.
And you know what? Somebody's listening to this and just jorking it. Just jorking it so hard.
Yorkin.
Oh, well, they could jork
Yorkin
too.
and porkin. Making some Yorkshire pudding.
Oh, gross. That's gross. Yorkshire pudding.
Glip, glip, glip.
Oh God! So
how many sound effects can I make for weird rancid cum? I wonder. Here's one.
If you're listening to this podcast and that is ever the sound that has come out of your penis or vagina when you have come, seek medical help. So the day after her former boss's untimely demise by, I guess, holy shit, my head's not attached to me anymore.
Oh no, my head.
Oh God, I can see my body and there's so much blood coming out of the neck hole. And now my vision's going dark.
Oh.
I've always thought about that. Like your eyes and brain are connected. So there's got to be a moment, even if it's a short one.
Do you not know about this? The human head can stay alive for like fucking 7 minutes after it gets cut off, dude.
stop.
I'm dead serious.
7
There was-
No, there's no way. Your
I
brain
have to-
shuts down.
I have to find the actual like fucking documentation of this, but there was an experiment that somebody did with the guillotine where it's like, hey, I want you to blink as long as you can so that I can see how long. And the fucking head blinked forever.
Yeah, but that could just be neurons firing off.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. You'd have to do something that doesn't occur naturally.
like what?
Without vocal cords, of
That
course.
seems like that's like a lot of electrical activity, though. Even that's a bit much. Or just
just a severed head kissing, making kissy noises at you. Jesus Christ. I don't think that can possibly be accurate because your brain activity stops after like a couple of minutes without oxygen.
Okay.
So yeah, a couple days after this happens, not a couple days, the day after, Jane Seymour is engaged. She's engaged to Henry. Oh my God.
Oh, Henry. Jeez.
The day after my boss just got her head lopped off. I'm engaged.
Yeah, that's not the dumbest fuck move you could possibly make.
Well, I can think of a dumber fuck move. 10 days later, they're married.
God.
Oh my God. Did you
That
even
was
have time for a bachelorette
quick.
party?
That was quick. He's like, all right, let's get this wedding over with so I can fucking kill her.
Yeah. So Jane at this point is 28 years old. Henry is 45. By the way, we skipped this with Catherine accidentally, but Henry goes ahead and for the second time, he decrees a succession act. So he did one before when he had his marriage annulled with Catherine. Now he's doing a second succession act. The first time it was just to declare that his daughter Mary was illegitimate to succeed the throne. This time he does it for his daughter Elizabeth, Anne Boleyn's daughter and his daughter, stating that his children with Jane Seymour will be the only legitimate successors to his throne.
Oh, wow. Really just cutting off the rest of his fucking family.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we're starting over now.
Yeah, basically. So, but Jane does give birth to a baby boy. In 1537,
About time.
Henry's broken jizz finally produces a male heir, Prince Edward. Everything's great, except for Jane dies less than 2 weeks later from a rough pregnancy and the resulting infection.
God damn, you'd figure a medicine woman would have been able to like help herself.
Or, maybe she died because it's 1537 and you're already a haggard old bitch at the age of 29 and your best days are long behind you and,
You just got split open by fucking Go-Gurt's fucking demon spawn.
My lord, she died of 1500s.
Well, can't be avoided. Bring in the next lady in waiting.
Tis 1500s. We do die all the time.
see-
29? 29? Oh, a blessed life.
How many ladies in waiting did you have?
What do you know, though? Henry hops right back in the saddle. Probably not a great metaphor due to his jousting accident, but yeah, you know what? This is Delete Everything podcast, baby. We love a good pun. That jousting accident probably also a contributor to his death. Spoiler alert.
The jousting accident?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm going to put your phone back on the computer.
I'm sorry. When Jean-Paul Marat's killer, Charlotte Corday, was executed by guillotine in 1793, a man named Francois Legros allegedly lifted her head and slapped both cheeks, and onlookers claimed that Corday's face took on an angry expression and her cheeks became flushed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting your fucking head cut off and somebody's just like, bip, bop, and you're just like, oh, you motherfucker.
Crying out loud. All right. Tame your ADD. I need your jokes.
Anne Boleyn, for example, apparently tried to speak after being beheaded.
Really?
But there's not a whole bunch of evidence for it. But yeah, apparently she was like, oh,
Fuck you. I never fucked my brother. Fuck you. Elizabeth will be queen. Elizabeth will be queen. So.
That was it. That's what she was trying to say. Elizabeth will be queen.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get into her. So.
She was probably trying to say something like, blah, 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 blah.
I can still suck your dick, baby. Just put it in, baby. We can turn this around. I'll suck your dick.
Oh, God, I don't want to get that morbid.
Yeah, that is gross. So, like I said, Henry back in the saddle, and he's like, yo, I've had a Spaniard. I've had an Italian. Probably had
Find me an Asian woman.
Probably find me a savage Mongol. He's probably had his fair share of French and British women, right? Time to add a little fucking bratwurst into this simmering pot of fuck stew. So he hears about this Anne of Cleves, who is sister to a West German duke. And they're kind of doing the whole like Catholic kind of Protestant kind of but mishmash thing over there. So in spite of a handful of other options, he goes with his advisor, Thomas Cromwell's advice.
Tommy Cromie, they call him.
Tommy Cromie. And he sends an artist to paint a portrait of her.
Get paint a portrait and see if I like her.
To see if she's worth marrying, literally.
See if these cleaves are all they're cracked up to be.
So he gets the portrait back, and between that and some of his courtiers...
He just immediately starts yorking it.
He just starts yorking it right in front of court. So obviously, he sends courtiers, he sends the artist, the whole shebang. So he sees the portrait. The courtiers that come back are like, yeah, dude, she's fine. So he says, okay, tight, let's do this, right? She comes to England and they meet, and Henry is not fucking impressed at all.
God damn it.
In fact,
fucking Bavarian milkmaid.
He goes to his courtiers and says to them, this is a quote from Henry VIII.
Hold on. Does he say, hey, what the fuck?
You call that hot? Listen, I've had a Spaniard. I've had an Italian. No, he goes to them and he says, and I quote, I promise you, I see no such thing as hath been shown me of her by pictures and report. I am ashamed that men have praised her as they have done, and I love her not. So he's saying, I don't see that photo. I don't see it. What y'all motherfuckers have been saying, I don't get it. I don't like this bitch. Right?
And his courtiers are like, oh, come on, give her a chance. She's really nice.
She's funny. She's funny, dude. We sat and like talked for the longest time, had some ale. Dude,
she's really cool, actually.
So she was like such a fun time to hang out with. Like, I was so glad my wife wasn't there. Nothing happened.
Henry's
nothing happened.
Well, then you fuck her.
Archduke, annul their marriage. He will be fucking Anne of Cleves from now on.
What hath that to do with me?
Oh my God. So at this point, though, from just a what's the word I'm looking for? That happens between countries.
Historical perspective?
No, that happens between countries. When you want to be friendly, you're doing
trade, commerce,
you're being
diplomacy.
No, diplomacy. Yes.
Dude, I had that same fucking slip in another episode.
Was it diplomacy too? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus,
that's a hard word. What is that?
Why do we keep forgetting?
I don't know.
That?
Why is diplomacy tough?
I don't know.
You know why? We're Americans.
Ah!
Fucking chalk one up for me right there. That was good.
Yeah. So
now I'm sad.
So from a diplomatic standpoint, he's got to go through with it at this point. It's like the wheels are turning. The shit's too far gone.
It's like, God damn it. All right, let's marry the sausage hog.
Yeah. He's like, it's already in motion. He's 49 years old. Like, I feel like 18, 19-year-old Henry would be like, I don't give a shit.
Hey, whatever.
Yeah. I don't care about getting the deposits back. I'm not marrying this broad. Deposits, schmozits. I'm not doing it. He's 49. There's like, I don't know, dude, 49 in 1540 is like the equivalent of being 153 in modern times.
Yeah, I can kind of see what he means, though.
Old dog ain't got no fight left.
I'm looking at these. There's like 8 different versions of painting of this bitch. Like, there's this one. She's like super hot in this one. And then a little bit down the line, it's like, okay, a little more, a little more Chapel Rowan-y.
They all look like that, though. Look at fucking photos. Look at paintings of Jane Seymour. Look at paintings of Anne Boleyn. Look at
but I'm saying, but then like down the line, you get this one. It's like, okay,
yikes.
All right, Ethel.
So, like I said, he's 49. That's the equivalent of being 800. He's just like, I can't do this. Diplomatic reasons. I can't. Like, I gotta just bite the bullet on this one, right? So they marry in January of 1540. After their wedding night, he goes to Thomas Cromwell.
He's like, listen,
Another quote from Henry VIII. He says, "Surely, my lord, I liked her before not well, but now I like her much worse. She is nothing fair, and have very evil smells about her. I took her to be no maid by reason of the closeness of her breasts and other tokens, which, when I felt them, strake me so to the heart that I had neither will nor courage to prove the rest.
Is he just saying I didn't like her titties?
I can have none appetite for displeasant airs.
Dude, this bitch stanky.
I have left her as good a maid as I found her."
Whoa. He couldn't get it up.
He's like,
listen, I don't like
bitch
her.
stank?
She stank. She ain't got good titties.
What does he say? The closeness of her breasts?
She's no maid dumped by the closeness.
I took her to be no maid by reason of the closeness of her breasts. And like when bitches be fucking, do their titties like ratchet together? Ladies.
When bitches be fucking.
Female listeners of the show, I have never made it with a woman. Do your breasts ratchet together? Do they clamp like an adjustable wrench with the more...
I took her to be no maid by the closeness of her breasts.
It doesn't make any sense.
What the fuck does that mean? The closeness?
And other tokens.
Her titties are too close together, so I was like, nah, she fucks.
When...
Like, what is this? Some fucking weird old, like...
Look at how close her titties are. That bitch has been around.
What is that?
Things that no man other than Henry VIII has ever said.
I don't get it.
Also, this fifth wife sucks. Lop her head off. I want a sixth one.
All right, that's enough with this one. Get fucking...
That's
take her
another
out
thing
back.
that no man other than Henry VIII has said. So...
I'm trying to figure out what he means by the closeness of her breasts.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
We've made the joke. Drew, pause for Riley looking up medical terminology for hose with breast closeness.
Oh. Okay.
What is it?
So the accusation Henry made was that her titties were saggy and she had like a belly. So he's like, she's given birth before.
Really?
Yeah.
Those are the other tokens?
Yeah, that's it.
When he felt them, they strake him so to the heart that he had neither will nor courage to prove the rest. So he's saying, I didn't have the desire or the courage to get up in there to get the proof.
This bitch wrecked.
Because he's one of those guys who doesn't understand the elasticity of a birth canal.
Right.
Cool guy.
He's like a guy who like lies about what he looks like to his Tinder date, and then when they show up and they're like sitting there waiting for him, if he like sizes him up, and if he doesn't like him, he leaves.
Oh God, is that a real thing? Jesus.
I assume.
I never.
I've never done an internet date, so I don't know.
Same. Well, no, I did Tinder like when it was new for a little bit, and then I was like, this.
Oh, the
sucks.
novelty.
So by July, they're married in January. By July, the wedding was annulled, as it had never been consummated. Anne didn't complain. This is Anne 2, not Anne Boleyn. Anne Deuce. Anne didn't complain. She corroborated that they had never sealed the deal, and she was actually gifted 2 houses, a royal allowance, and the title of the King's Sister, which I feel like is what every dude says when he wants his girlfriend to not worry about a girl. Oh, she's like a sister to me. Don't be ridiculous.
But she's just like, hey, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah, and she's like, 2 houses and an allowance? Fuck yeah.
Whatever, I don't want to fuck you anyway.
Take my ugly ass to my new 2 houses. Okay, so, by the way, perhaps another reason why Henry wasn't too keen on Annie 2 is that it becomes pretty immediately clear that he's smitten with another young lady.
Is it one of her ladies in waiting?
Catherine Howard, Kathy 2. When I say young lady, homegirl was 17 years old.
Cat 2.
Dude,
Cat 2 Howard Kane.
You already said it. I'm so over this fucking bit. What do you think she did for work, dude?
She's a goddamn lady in waiting. Jeez, does he never meet girls that aren't ladies in waiting?
He's like, I'm so busy with court. Wife, bring me your bitches. Oh my God. Yeah. She was a lady in waiting for Anne of Cleves during the fucking 6 months they were married. She's also first cousin of Anne Boleyn. So, hey, I'm fucking all your cousins, girl. He's picking up her head.
This fucking
I'm
guy.
fucking all your cousins.
And she starts like,
Put it back in the put it back in the box. So yeah, Anne Boleyn, by the way, has been dead for 4 years at this point. Like I said,
best 4 years of her life so far.
Catherine Howard is 17 years old, so it's entirely possible that this dude was getting fucking bonered up for a 13-year-old at some point.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah. So Kathy 2's in the mix. Thomas Cromwell at this point, one of the Tommies, that's in the inner circle, Tommy Cromie, he is rattled because
every time I'm introduced him to a girl, she's fucking murdered.
Every time I introduce him to a girl, he fucks all her friends. He's like the worst friend to have.
Your bro's a piece of shit, Tommy. I don't know what to tell you.
No, he's rattled because Catherine's unc is a duke. I did not mean to say unc.
Yeah, you did.
I really didn't. I think duke and uncle mixed in there. Her uncle is a duke.
We all knew what unc meant.
Yeah, he is the Duke of Norfolk. Duke of Norfolk, Virginia. He's a Duke of Norfolk. And he is Cromwell's political rival in the court.
Shit.
All within the month of July, 1540. Henry's previous marriage to Anne II is annulled.
Mm-hmm.
Henry marries Cathy II.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Cromwell falls completely out of favor with the king.
Oh, shit.
He's charged with treason.
No way.
The specific charges are selling export licenses, granting passports, and drawing up commissions without permission.
And being a bitch. Also
for bringing me that fucking German hag. That was probably added in there.
Thought you was my boy, but you ain't got my back.
Oh, another thing that
all the bitches you bring me is busted. Put that on the list. Yeah. That's another charge.
Treason. You brought me busted bitches. Treason.
You treasonous ass.
You done. Treason. Busted bitch, you done.
God damn it.
So, I told you this one was going to be more fun than the first one.
Oh, yeah, it's all about infanticide and murdering women.
Yeah, the funny stuff. So, like I said, there's one other thing that happens in July 1540. Cromwell is beheaded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's his thing.
Tommy Cromie. Same day, by the way, that Henry and Catherine tie the knot. Oh, my God.
So it's like, I picture like a Wes Anderson style thing, you know, like single shot, like solid frame, where they like kiss, and then you just hear, you see the guillotine behind them dropping.
And as they separate from the kiss, you see the head rolling.
Everyone starts clapping and you hear the thunk.
You see the head rolling in the background. It's kind of blurred because the focus is on the
they wouldn't use a guillotine though, right? Not at that time in England. It would have been swords.
No, it was an axe. I believe it was Anne Boleyn. He specifically had a French swordsman come in to lop off her head instead of an axe.
And it took a bunch of strikes.
I don't know. So yeah, the same day that Cromwell is beheaded, Henry and Catherine Howard, Cathy II, tie the knot. Also,
later that day, killed.
Also in July, 3 of Cromwell's proteges and fellow Protestant reformers were burned at the stake as heretics.
Damn. That's what you get.
So I didn't look into the specific charges on those guys, but yeah, they one of those guys was a Thomas, by the way. So not long into their marriage, there are whispers that Catherine has had an affair with a courtier named fucking goddamn Thomas. Another goddamn Thomas in this episode. A courtier named Thomas Culpeper. I thought that when we did Jen Yisao, like I was like, oh, it's so many like Jen Yis and Jen Shis and Jang Bos and I'm like, this is just as fucking confusing. Everybody's named Thomas.
In the past, they didn't have any idea how to name people.
We've had 2 Henrys.
Well, 8. Just 2 this episode.
We've had 2 Henrys. We've had an Edward that's just been a baby for one sentence. And we had
a few of those in the last
53 fucking Tommy.
Bunch of Thomases, bunch of Anns, bunch of Marys.
God almighty. Catherines. Bunch of Catherines. Only one Mary. Bunch of Catherines. Bunch of Anns. We've had 2 Marys. Anyway, we've had a Marge in there for some reason. So yeah, there are these whispers that Catherine has had an affair with this courtier named Thomas Culpeper.
Call him Tommy Salami.
Tommy Culpeper sounds like a gridiron. Maybe I'm thinking Dante Culpeper, the football player. So it's just like Tommy Culpeper taking it down. He's running along the sidelines. Tommy Culpeper on the 30, on the 20.
My thing with rhyming Tommy names.
Tommy Culpeper.
You know how much I love The West Wing?
Yes.
The executive producer's name is Thomas Schlamme.
Wow.
Yeah, Tommy Schlamme.
That couldn't have been fun growing up. So there's these whispers. She has had an affair with Thomas Culpeper. She also had a young man in her employ named Francis Dereham, who had apparently been previously engaged to Catherine.
Ooh.
They had already had some hot, sticky, swampy,
Hammy,
sweaty,
stinky,
splatty,
slappy,
grabby,
happy, goopy,
goopy,
gloopy.
they've already had some adulterous teen on teen action, baby.
Fuckerage.
I'm just kidding. Actually, this guy Francis Dereham was in his 30s.
Oh, so it was just her that was a teen.
15 when they started banging. By the way, not her first. Apparently, her music teacher was diddling her when she was 13.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
When he found out about her and Francis Dereham,
Hold on. Executed.
no, she went to her mother. Or he
I
went
thought you were talking about when the king found out about her.
No. This is before she became
Okay.
Anne II's lady in waiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is when she's at her estate because she's from royalty as well,
Right?
Or not royalty, but noble lineage. So her music teacher allegedly may have molested her, may have been consensual, starting when she was 13.
Mm-hmm.
When she's 15, she starts messing around with this Francis Dereham. The music teacher finds out, goes to her mother and tells her, go check on her 20 minutes after she goes to bed, see what happens.
Oh, wow.
So mom catches her and Frankie
Ooh.
doing it.
Hiding Dereham.
Tying Darren Ham. Apparently the mother was, I read some of the backstory on this because I was like, this is kind of interesting. Apparently her mother was more concerned with her looks than like her being a proper lady, and was like, basically like, if you bang all these men, you're gonna get ugly. You're gonna get ugly too quick. Bang less men. Which is weird. What a weird thing to say. Bathe in milk.
Okay.
Of just arbitrary shit. So the shit fucking Dereham gets sent away, blah, blah, blah. She ends up at the fucking royal court. She ends up marrying the king. Dereham's back. He's in Kathy II's employ now.
Is that what they're calling it?
We'll see. We'll see. So the council hears about this and they get to investigating.
The council will hear of this.
They send Thomas Cranmer. We haven't heard about him for a while. That's the Archduke.
Tommy Cromie.
That's
Tammy Crammy.
Tommy Cromie is
Tammy Crammy.
Tammy Crammy, sure. Thomas Cranmer is the one that was the Archduke. That was his homie from the Anne Boleyn days, right?
Right.
From the Catherine of Aragon days.
Son of Arathon.
So Thomas Cranmer sets himself to investigating to see what he can dig up. He brings back proof that this engagement did previously exist.
Dun, 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 dun,
Not
dun,
sure
dun,
what the
dun.
proof was, but he brings
Fucking Tom Clancy ass espionage going on right there. They were fucking.
Yeah, right. So he brings back the proof that they were engaged. They bring this to Henry's attention, and he doesn't really buy it. So they bring Dereham back in. They torture him. They interrogate him.
Like you do.
He admits to everything, but he says that nothing has happened since her marriage to the king. Even after torture, he insists this was all pre your marriage, like your marriage to her. It's 2 years ago, Your Highness. So Henry flips the fuck out at this point. So he went from not believing it to like, what the fuck, right? So he goes to, he probably thought that his 17-year-old bride was, deflowered by him.
Right.
So, he's, like we said, cool guy. He's like, oh, if you're not a virgin, I can't, you got a loose vagina. One of those idiots.
I need a tight vagina for my spoiled yogurt cum.
For my massive yogurt-topped schwanz. So Henry flips the fuck out, goes to question Catherine about it. By the way, by the existing church's rules established by Henry, which is not to say he would have abided by them, but if she had just said, yeah, we were engaged, we banged before, that, according to the church at that time, was as good as a marriage contract and an actual marriage. That would have rendered his marriage to Catherine null and void. That could have been the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Done, done, and done. Instead, she admits that they did have sex, but Dereham forced himself on her.
Damn.
Right? She says this thinking that she's going to save her own ass. Oh my God, I'm sorry that I wasn't a virgin, but he made me. He made me do it, right?
Right.
So now fucking Frances Dereham is going to get murdered and she'll fucking save herself. So, but Henry doesn't fully believe her. So he goes back to Dereham and he tells Dereham what she told him. And Dereham's like, okay, well, let me tell you about Tommy Culpepper. Because part of the reason we have not fucked since you guys, at this point, he's probably you fucking lopped off my pinkies. You've been beating the shit out of me. So let me fucking give you some truth since I know where this fucking train ends. The reason we haven't fucked, I would have totally fucked her after you guys married. The reason we haven't fucked is because she's only got eyes for Tommy Culpepper, my dude. She is fucking Tommy. You little courtier and your fucking little court. They're fucking. Now she won't fuck me. Is she fucking you? Because she's fucking him. This monologue could go on forever.
Fucking what accent are you doing right now? It's fucking that guy from The Sopranos, the young one.
I don't know. But yeah, so he fucking drops the dime on him and says, yeah, the reason we haven't done it is because she is having an affair with Thomas Culpepper. So they're all arrested. And what do you imagine happened to them?
They all get executed.
February of 1542.
Jesus Christ, this is getting a bit repetitive.
February 1542, Catherine Howard and Thomas Culpepper are beheaded.
Yep.
What of Frances Dereham, you ask?
Beheaded.
Hanged.
Ugh.
Membered. Boweled. Headed. And quartered.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Like a fucking butcher selling parts. Let me head and quarter this for you real quick.
But poor Kay.
Because he was the one that admitted to banging her.
Oh, well.
Previously, but still.
You bangs your broads and you takes your chances, I guess.
This is where...
In an era where you could be drawn and quartered for such things, I mean, maybe he shouldn't have gone to fucking court with her.
Yeah, right?
Maybe when she was picked to be the king's wife, he should have been like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move.
That guy's a little unhinged.
I think I'm going to move to the Netherlands.
That's so crazy.
I'm going to go move to Bruges and join a monastery.
This is also, most historians agree, by this time, Henry is acting a little erratic.
He's getting a little weird. It's only his 9th or 10th murder.
Yeah, right. Easily. Are you fucking 9 or 10? Are you kidding me? So we are finally at wife number 6. Kathy 3. Catherine Parr.
3 for Parr.
Parr 3. There's not a ton to get into with Catherine Parr. She was slightly more age appropriate. She was 31 when they were married. He was 52, so still pretty big gap. But it seems like, from what I read, she was probably the best woman for the job all along. She was smart. She was educated. She was religious. She was a strict Protestant at a time when Henry was still kind of this Catholic Protestant mix. You know what I mean? There were a lot of Catholic things that were still happening in England that Henry was, because he grew up a devout Catholic, he never got rid of some of these old Catholic traditions and stuff. So it never went full Protestant under Henry. So they argued about that a lot, but I mean, it wasn't bad arguing. It was just sort of,
Henry, you gotta go full Protestant.
She was very close with all 3 of his children. She was actually very crucial in Henry reconnecting with his daughters, who were probably kind of pissed when their dad passed legislation across the fucking land deeming them illegitimate.
He's like, my mom was a queen. What the fuck?
Yeah. You're illegitimate. So she coerced him to draft a third succession act, putting the daughters back into the legitimate line of succession after their younger brother, but at least they're back in, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like you brought up earlier, there's a lot of Henry that we didn't get into because the juicy stuff's more fucking fun than invasions in France and wars in Scotland and pissing off Catholic clergy.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about fucking trade wars and
dissolving fucking churches and destroying statues of saints. And it's like, eh.
Yeah, we don't want the trade wars. We want the lightsaber battles. I get it.
Right. So Henry died 3.5 years after marrying Cathy
Thank
III.
God. Fuck.
Right. He got hella fat at the end.
What a piece of shit.
He had a 54-inch waist by the time he died.
Yeah.
That's fucking... I have a 34-inch waist, and I'm like, I used to be a 28.
I have a 36.
Which, so like...
But I got a fat right now.
add 20
I
inches
started
to
eating
that.
salads today.
Add fucking 20 inches to that. That's crazy.
a lot. That's another person.
That's your like 8.5 inches wider.
Yeah.
I don't know where I pulled that number out of, but...
A bad mathville?
Yeah, basically. He was largely immobile. He required mechanical devices to get up and move around. He needed a robot as a.
Well, because he's just fucking. He's in his.
Oh no, that was the last episode.
Yeah, he's in his bed eating a fucking like eating a turkey leg. Execute him.
Bring me my wife. Which one is she again?
Anne, Mary. Which one are you?
He had pus-filled boils on his body.
Yep.
He probably had gout.
Good for him.
He probably died of scurvy and not tertiary syphilis, as the legends state. You know, most people are like, oh, he died of syphilis. That's largely been debunked at this point.
Died of scurvy? He hasn't eaten a fruit his entire life.
Fruit. It's also theorized that he had a Kel-positive blood type, which I thought about getting. I like went and started reading about and everything. It is very fucking convoluted. Blood type, transfusion centric, the way that oxygen binds to red blood cells. And I was like, I am not even fucking getting into this shit at the end of an episode. But he had probably had a Kel-positive blood type that he inherited from his mother. And he may have developed McLeod syndrome, which does not mean that he
live forever.
He does not have a Highlander powers. That's not what that means.
That's good. He doesn't deserve them.
It does explain his mental deterioration after 40 and why 7 of his 10 children died in or shortly out of utero.
I like how you immediately knew I was going to go for Highlander powers.
Yeah, I was
no.
like, as soon as I say McLeod, he's going to go Highlander, because that's what I said when I read it. I was like, oh shit, there could be only one with a positive Kel blood type.
The Kurgan.
So we could end it here, but I would like to wrap up the House of Tudor because it doesn't last a whole lot longer, right? Luckily, Henry decreed that in that third succession act, you know, he did that to like put all 3 of his children in the line of succession, and all 3 of his children got to rule. So good thing he changed that a couple years before he died.
Good for them.
They all sat on the throne, starting with Edward VI. Edward really didn't do shit from a political power standpoint. On the contrary, well, so actually, let's fucking be fair, right? He was crowned at the age of 9. So he really didn't rule anything. The country was mostly ruled by a council of advisors and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, he gets the credit, better or worse. So
Right.
Edward presided over a lot of economic problems, very almost certainly in part due to his father's extravagance. But there were riots and rebellions and general civil unrest and economic turmoil. And
So why is my
all
reign
the
so
fun
hard?
stuff.
It's like because your fat fuck father ripped the entire socioeconomic structure
and
of the
like,
country apart.
You look at, you know, Henry VIII has like so many fucking portraits of him and all this opulent shit. He gave all his wives all these jewels and crowns and homes and estates.
It's like the classic.
He was very opulent.
fat
He
fuck,
was
yeah.
very fucking opulent. He was a very extravagant guy. So there was also a war during Edward VI's reign with Scotland, where it started off pretty solid for England, but it turned real shitty, and it resulted in the English having to retreat from Scotland and agree to peace terms. What Edward seemed to care more about than all these other trifles, right? What he involves himself in were matters of religion. He was raised Anglican. And while his father, like we said, still really adhered to a lot of the Catholic doctrine and ceremony, Edward wasn't with that shit.
He looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
He does. Mark Zuckerberg, little bit of Habsburg jaw.
He does.
Yeah.
Absolutely Habsburg jaw.
Wow.
Oh, shit. You know what that is? That's just fucking monarchy-ass lineage going down the line.
I wonder.
They're still running this shit, aren't they? Motherfuckers.
My great-grandmother was the Queen of Austria.
So, like I said, Edward wasn't about that half Catholic, half Protestant shit, right? He was raised devoutly Protestant. His mother died after childbirth. He was raised by who the fuck knows who.
Some fucking court assholes.
So he was probably sent away to some estate to live with your sisters and, just courtiers.
You must learn to be king.
Yeah. So the Anglican Church under Edward became much stronger Protestant body under Edward, right? He got rid of a lot of the pervasive Catholic doctrine. He got that shit out. Things like vows of celibacy for the clergy. Hey, y'all can fuck now. Speaking English in mass instead of Latin, which that's one of those things. You grew up Catholic too.
Yeah.
Do you remember Latin masses?
Yeah, I can still do a bunch of them.
What?
Like, say Domine.
Yeah. How do you? You're just singing Enya. Like, if there was one thing the Catholic Church could get rid of to make it feel less culty, Latin Mass would be it. Like you're in this big ornate hall. There's a man in robes going, "Eat of his flesh, drink of his blood," and everybody together chants, "En nombre de Patre et Filii et Spiritus Sancti," and then we go eat his body and drink his blood, bro. Culty shit.
Oh yeah. It turns out Catholicism's a death cult.
Yeah, for sure.
Who'd have thunk it?
Thanks, Sky Daddy. So he got rid of a lot of this shit. In 1553, Eddie gets sick. We're not really sure what. Could have been tuberculosis, could have been a lung tumor, could have been pneumonia. Some people suggest it was poisoning, but that's kind of a long shot. Either way, he dies at 15 years old.
Right.
5 years on the throne. The last thing he tries to do before he leaves is change the succession and leave the throne to his cousin on his mom's side, Lady Jane Grey, and leave his sisters out of the succession entirely.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
The council puts Jane on the throne. She sits there for 9 days before Mary shows up, fucking murders some motherfuckers. Fucking arrests Jane, arrests a bunch of the members of the council, and then at that point, everybody's like, "Yeah, Mary, you're the queen. We were rooting for you all along."
Right.
So yeah, Mary's like, "No, we're not doing that." So Mary's on the throne. You may be asking why this young man would try to keep his older sister from the throne. Mary, if you recall, is Catherine of Aragon's
son of Arathorn.
Catherine of Aragon's daughter, Cathy I, who Henry changed the entire national religion of England to, in order to divorce and bang her maid. So, if you put yourself in this situation, if you had to pick a religion, as was basically fucking compulsory at this time, if you had to pick a religion to subscribe to, and your father and mother were both Catholic before your dad changed religions in order to divorce your mom and then say that you were not his legitimate successor to the throne, which religion would you pick?
Probably the old one.
Yeah. Do you think you would also be quite contrary to the teachings of your religion versus how you dealt with those who didn't practice that religion?
Yes.
This is Mary Tudor, Mary the First. Edward knew that Mary would undo everything that he had done to legitimize the Church of England, and Lady Jane, his cousin, who was Protestant, would not. So we talked about Mary briefly in another episode, the Mayflower Voyage.
Right.
When we were talking about the separatists kind of having to practice in secret before they leave England. And that this persecution really starts with Mary. England does not stay Roman Catholic, but the persecution continues.
Ah.
Right? Not as severely. Mary Tudor, Mary the First, aka Bloody Mary.
That's the one. I knew it.
Yeah, devout Catholic, spent her time.
Lady Gaga wrote a song about her.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Lady Gaga looks like she could be in one of those portraits.
She got a little bit of the Habsburg, didn't
She's
she?
got, I don't know if it's Habsburg. She's got a little bit more of like a ratty face. Like it's very
I like that mousy.
pronounced in the front.
I like a mousy lady.
I'm not saying she's unattractive. She's very pale and sort of, you could put her in one of those big like bodice things with the the neck frill
she's
all the way up to her
worn
chin.
some of that shit.
Yeah.
She's got a very almond face.
Yeah.
Pointy at the top and bottom. I like a rat face bitch.
There you have it, Lady Gaga. He could be all yours. Lady Gaga, when you listen to this, Riley Dexter Bowen on the table, baby.
I've referred to women as bitches a lot in this episode, and I'd like to apologize.
Your wife is going to be furious.
She's not listening to this shit.
She would be furious.
She would be probably.
The first one, she'd be like, Riley. Well, that's not okay.
Was that your impersonation of my wife?
No.
It was bad.
I know. I could do a better impersonation of your wife, but you know.
I'm not going to do it.
Riley's wife is a person of color, and I'm not going to try and do that impression because
God damn right.
it might come off as horrifically insensitive. Especially since we're talking about calling women bitches.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Which you've done way more than me today. I think I've done it a couple times as King Henry.
Yeah.
I haven't been like, yeah, that fucking bitch, hey. That's also a different guy. That's not Patrick.
I don't mean it in a derogatory way. It's just bad verbiage.
Riley, as much as sometimes he sounds like an ancestor of Andrew Jackson, is actually a very tolerant and accepting and not.
What the fuck are you talking? When do I sound like Andrew Jackson? The fuck out of here! That
when you're talking about like Andrew Jackson had some good ideas. You remember that, right?
God, I would if Andrew Jackson like materialized in front of me, I would stab him to death. I would. That guy's got to go.
That guy's got over 100 duels under his belt.
He's got over 100 followers on Instagram.
So anyway, like I said, Mary was devoutly Catholic. She spent her time, basically her entire time on the throne, trying to undo Reformation, and boy did she have a fucking way about it. To the tune of like a few hundred Protestants burned at the stake.
Hell yeah.
In the 5 years that she was queen.
I'm not saying hell yeah because they're Protestants. I'm saying hell yeah just because burning at the stake is cool.
There are a few other interesting facts about her, like how her father Henry started making politically lucrative deals to marry her off when she was 2.
Damn.
Starting when she was 2 and all the way through.
I mean, no wonder she grew up to be so fucking violent.
How those deals never worked out. How she didn't marry until she was 37 and already queen. The false pregnancies that lasted for months and were just weird.
Like she would fake them, or just like she thought she was
she
pregnant?
Would like get a distended belly. So some historians think that she had like a ovarian cyst that caused something called ovarian dropsy or uterine dropsy.
Oh, I'm familiar with this.
Yeah. Which is very
like massive abdominal swelling.
Yeah, which is very rare. But it was literally like a couple times it happened during her reign where she would stop menstruating. She would get like a distended abdomen and she would be like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And this would go for months and people would be like, yeah, she's pregnant. She's
and it would just go away.
She's not having her monthly. She is, distended in the belly. And then enough time would pass by that they'd be like, there's no action going on in there. Like, and then it would be like, because you have to understand, the whole land hears when the king is pregnant. So then suddenly it's
they would, because if the king was pregnant, that would be
I'm sorry,
crazy.
the queen. The whole land hears when the queen is pregnant.
Yeah.
The king is with child.
Our king's seed has found purchase in her craggy soil.
So, but yeah, those 2 times when it happened, one was right before she died, but the first one was like very embarrassing for her.
I'll bet.
As a monarch to be like,
sorry.
JK. So
probably, yeah, fucking lords and shit are sending her gifts and all kinds of shit.
She also, like, another thing that happened was she had like several, she tried desperately to get pregnant. By all accounts, she was married to Spanish fucking Pedro.
Spanish Peter, everyone knows him.
He was the king of Spain, and that was a big fucking controversy too, because they wanted her to marry someone British. She went with Spain as she's trying to undo all this Protestant Reformation stuff, and it was like there was a lot of shit around that. There were some wars and stuff, but she tried desperately to have a baby to put an heir in front of Elizabeth. Like that was a big thing. She was like, if I have a son, he's the heir before Elizabeth, and then as long as he has children, then she can never be queen because she's Protestant. So that was a big thing. She didn't want England to revert back to Protestantism. So, but literally the bulk of her reign was spent trying to undo something that was like already fully done 20 plus years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Mary died in 1558 of all kinds of shit. She was just like a sickly lady from jump. Yeah. And a lot of people think it was psychosomatic because of all the fucking crazy shit with her parents and her stepmom getting beheaded and all kinds of fucking wild ass shit that this child experienced, getting betrothed. And then the guy's like, never mind. And then getting betrothed again. The guy's like, I found a different, and then getting betrothed again and again. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and then getting sent to a different estate. And then now, you're illegitimate. And it was just a lot of fuckery in her lifetime. And she was already sort of frail to begin with. And so a lot of historians think that there was some psychosomatic shit going on that kind of, made it worse. So enter Lizzie, Elizabeth I, founder of the Elizabethan era.
Yes, I know it well.
Yes. She was crowned at 25 and immediately undid everything her sister did. She reigned, unlike her brother and sister who both had 5 years. She reigned for 44 years. She never married. She never had children. She was actually a celebrated virgin.
And since Virginia.
What about it?
Sir Walter Raleigh named the state of Virginia after Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen.
I always thought that was just a different queen.
Yes. And then as a reward, she fucked him.
Oh.
Supposedly. Yeah, you never saw Elizabeth the Golden Age?
Nope.
Come on, man. 2 Academy Awards for Best Costume and Best Art Direction.
Ain't even seen it. So
that was actually pretty good.
She was cool, I guess. After everything else in this episode, her reign was kind of stable and boring.
You know what, Patrick? You would like the Elizabeth movies. I mean, like,
maybe.
I know a lot of like period dramas are real fucking stupid and boring. They're pretty fucking good. And with the historical with the historical context to what you've put so much work into researching, I think you'd really enjoy them.
I have to write a term paper every week. I don't have time for frivolous things like movies.
I watch movies and throw things in a garbage bag.
Like I said, her reign was kind of stable and boring. And, I mean, I guess thanks for Shakespeare. Thanks for, Christopher Marlowe and, stories about privateers battling the Spanish Armada. That's cool. I don't know, man.
And the fucking obliteration of the Spanish Armada.
I am once again, as the last Royals episode, out of fucking brain power thanks to these incestuous fucks.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I'm just done. These cousin fuckers have taken everything from me.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the proliferation of tobacco as a cash crop throughout the world.
Yeah, it was great for some people.
China likes cigarettes a lot.
Not so good for other people. If you guys like this episode, which I hope you did, you can let us know. Hop on Spotify, leave a comment on the episode, hop on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, leave us a 5-star rating if you liked it. If you didn't like it, just don't leave a fucking review. Probably not listening at this point anyway. If you're listening on Audible.
Yeah, if you made it 2 hours into the fucking second
and you're
episode
like, 1 star!
The second episode of the British monarchy focusing on the Tudor period, and you just so that you could be like, fuck these guys.
I liked it all.
Just let me know.
I liked it all until Riley confessed that he didn't enjoy calling women bitches. And, that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's some sort of a weird macho reflex. I don't mean to do that.
Don't apologize, man. Just call the bitches bitches. God, 1 star. Yeah, also, Audible, you can get on our show page. Leave a review. Leave a rating. that is an awesome way to support us, guys. Also, if you want to send us a message that we will respond to, you can send us a message on deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. We don't care what you say. We don't care what you ask. We'll send something back.
Yeah.
You can also, if you really want to support us beyond that, you can join us on Patreon. I'm trying not to short sell the Patreon as much as we have in the past. It is fucking fun, guys. It is crazy. It is it's a laugh riot, man, all the way through.
Agreed.
It's like we cackle like fucking hyenas the whole time. And
I will say it's worse. We say worse things.
We do say worse things. Not maybe the things that you're thinking, because it's not terrible.
Yeah, no. We're not. We're still the same people. We're not like misogynists or racist or anything.
We're just a little less filtered.
We're a little loosey goosey. Yeah, you know.
The cum jokes sometimes go too far.
A little bit much.
And sometimes they last for 45 minutes, which is about the length of your typical Patreon bonus episode. So
I'm going to try and put together some more content and some video content for Patreon in the next couple of weeks, and it'll be cool.
You have to put a photo of this fucker on Patreon too.
Oh, we got the. Did we talk about that on this episode?
Nope.
We recently revamped the studio a little bit, moved some things around, and we produced this beautifully sculpted.
Not Swamp Thing, creature
suction,
from the
suction cup dildo, modeled after the creature from the Black Lagoon, courtesy of one Rachel Blankenship, that sculpted it by hand.
It is a hellish looking dildo.
It is a big old fish wiener, and it's our companion now. It's on the table. So.
Doesn't look like much of it would be fun, but also I don't have a vagina. The person who made it does.
If you want,
so she would be the expert.
If you want to see what it looks like, we'll throw it on the Instagram when we do the thing this week.
Boy, oh boy. No, that should just be its own Instagram post. Just that.
Wiggly the fish weenie.
Anyway, guys, we appreciate you being here, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Time to add a little fucking bratwurst into this simmering pot of fuck stew.